In a world of fake news, this is news you can trust. Telling you what you want to hear to feed our desperate need to be liked. You're listening to the Babylon Bee with your hosts, Kyle Mann and Ethan Nicolle.
Welcome to the Voyages of the Babylon Bee. Our 4-year-long satire mission has been to trigger strange new triggering people.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about at all. Is
Really?
that something Star Trek-y or something?
Yes, it's something Star Trek-y.
Is it Star Trek?
Yes.
Oh.
The most Star Trek-y thing there is Star Trek.
What? In a galaxy far, far away?
That's Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
It's not Star Trek.
I can't think of anything from Star Trek.
They do the
Spock has pointy ears.
Space, the final frontier.
Okay.
These are the voyages of the USS Enterprise.
Okay, I thought that was Cosmos with Carl Sagan.
No.
But that does make sense. Yeah.
Mm.
Huh. All right, cool. I'm learning stuff
Yeah, well. Yeah.
already. So,
Quoting from Star Trek, Chapter 1, Verse 1.
of the Star Trek
Of the
Bible?
Book of Star Trek.
Huh. Trek. Yeah. I was going to try to mix some Star Trek with like a Bible name, but I can't think of Trekkiah. Star Trekaniah.
Well, there was the movie Nemesis, which just sounds like Genesis.
There you go.
Then you just said Nemesis. Nemesis 1-1. There you go.
I don't know. I'm fine with abandoning this whole thing. Moving on from that.
First Contact also sounds like a book of the Bible.
First and Second Contact.
First and Second Contact.
It also sounds like weird police talk for inappropriate things that happen.
Like when you first get a girlfriend, you have first contact. Like a kid who was raised in a Christian home has first contact.
First Contact.
Our hands brushed by each other as we reached for the hymnal. And we had first contact. What is even happening right now?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, a lot of Star Trek movies sound like books of the Bible. Insurrection 12:1.
You're still going on that?
Yeah. I'm still going on the Star Trek, man.
I can't help you. I don't know any Star Trek names of anything. Klingon.
Sure.
Do you guys remember the Genesis planet?
No.
Oh, yeah, the Genesis planet. Was that in 3? Star Trek 3?
Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan, they make a Genesis planet. And then Star Trek 3.
Yeah, but they land on it in 3.
They land on it in 3, yeah.
That's right.
The Wrath of Khan.
2 was amazing. 3 was horrible.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Was that Search for Spock?
Search for Spock was number 3,
That's
yeah.
Right.
All the odd-numbered ones are awful.
All right, let me know when we're done talking about this so I can get back in.
Just, Ethan, this is your job, is to sound interested and to make puns about things.
Oh, that's fascinating.
But you know what that reminds me of, Kyle? And then you could actually steer the conversation back to something interesting. That reminds me of a banjo song.
The Wrath of Willie Connor.
Is that the name?
No, it's not
a real banjo song.
No, it's not. The Wrath of Conroy. Conway Twitty. That's actually a bluegrass guy.
See, I got you going.
The Wrath of Conway Twitty. There we go.
I got you going. Well, everybody, this is the Babylon Bee podcast, and I'm Kyle Mann with my wonderful, friendly, jolly host, Ethan Nicolle.
You call me a host?
Did I say host?
Yeah, he said host.
No, I didn't.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Let's review the tape.
Review the tape.
So my host, Ethan Nicolle, and we are in quarantine and surviving in isolation and stuff.
How's it affecting you, Kyle?
I don't know. My life's about the same.
Yeah, I guess it is about the same.
My wife kind of lost her job, so
that's true. My wife is still working, but we have no babysitter, and so it's been a little. And then
so babysitter doesn't.
Late. No, it's like summer happened early for me. I think I've already said this, but I'm thrown off by it. It's been rough for me. Staying up way too late. And getting up early, trying to still get up at the same time, but going to bed way later than I should. So that's the dark rings in my eyes I got going on right now.
I'm going to bed late too. I don't know why though.
It happens to me during the summer when the whole family's home all day. I think I just feel that sigh of relief that it's not that you don't love my family, but it's you need that time where nobody needs anything from you, and you get really hooked on it.
You mean you intentionally stay up late?
I stay up late just. Watching stupid things on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not good to do a lot of So
My wife's a night owl, so I rarely get that nighttime.
Oh, really? I couldn't survive. My wife was a night owl.
Once in a while, she's I'm super tired, I'm going to go to sleep. So then I get to veg out with a video game for a couple hours or whatever. But rarely.
Yeah.
Rarely. Huh. Well, everybody, this is the Babylon Bee podcast, and we go through news. We tell you about cool stuff that we like, and we discuss the topic of the week, which this week is Easter.
That's right.
Should be a lot of fun, even though none of us actually get to go to church for Easter.
That was so weird.
It's going to be very strange. But we'll figure it out. So
yeah.
All right, well, why don't we talk about some stuff that we like first?
Let's do that.
But first, we have a sponsor this week.
Oh.
If you're familiar with the College Board, the owner of the SAT, you probably weren't shocked when news broke last summer that a Bernie Sanders op-ed had been featured on the SAT exam. The SAT and ACT have a clear agenda, and they have tremendous power to enact that agenda with their college entrance exams that play a major role in driving curriculum at the high school level. But you might not be aware that there is a rapidly growing alternative. The Classic Learning Test, CLT, launched 4 years ago as a sane alternative to the SAT and ACT. Even better, they're currently the only college entrance exam available, as the SAT and ACT have canceled their tests for the remainder of the academic year. Students can take this CLT through remote proctoring from the comfort of their home. The next CLT on April 25th is set to be the largest CLT in history. To learn more about the CLT or their lower grade assessments, such as the CLT 8 or the CLT 10, visit www.cltexam.com. Seems like that would be a booming business right now with everything being shut down, so good for them. They've been sponsors of the Babylon Bee a couple of times, and we really appreciate it.
Sweet.
But now, this week's edition of Stuff That's Good.
Whoa. All right, clear the debris away, and here we are.
Brushing bits of glass.
Yeah, I mentioned like
table
2x4s across me and broken glass.
We all have to pick them up off you.
Yeah.
Pull Ethan out of the rubble.
Ethan, what's good?
Hey, Ethan, what's good, man?
Do you have a thing that's good?
I'll think of something.
You haven't got anything yet?
I got something. Go ahead. Do yours first, though.
All right. So I actually would like to have these guys on our podcast at some point. I discovered them long ago. There's a podcast called That Story Show. The guys that make it, they're actually they're Christian guys. They're both ex-youth pastors. I think one of them still is a youth pastor. But the show is clean comedy. People send in funny stories from their life. Sometimes they'll do topical shows. But every week they they tell stories from their own lives, and they also just bring in, people send in stories. And they have a pretty big audience. But it's all family friendly. So my kids love it. It's hard to find podcasts that you can listen to with your kids, especially that are funny. So I would highly recommend That Story Show. Look it up on Apple and give it a listen. It's funny. It's funny and clean. And you can listen to it with your kids. So that's to me, that's hard to find that in podcasts.
Now,
good for road trips.
Is it something that it's just well, it's clean so kids can listen to it? Or is it actually targeted towards?
It's not targeted.
Something they can enjoy.
He doesn't try to dumb things down for a kid. It's not hey, kids. It's not
for kids.
It's for adults, really. But
you can listen to it in the car, and they're not gonna.
Yeah, and it's probably it's PG-ish, and maybe every once in a while it gets a little bit he'll make fart jokes and butt jokes sometimes, stuff. Or he might make jokes that are a little inappropriate, but it's within that realm of YouTube, a youth leader being inappropriate,
YouTube.
It's the line is he pushes those lines, but in general, it's just I think that's the main thing, because you enjoy it as an adult, but your kids can, as long as they know what he's talking about. The really young kids don't usually know what they're saying, but laughter is infectious, and there's a lot of laughing on the show. So my daughter, because my 10-year-old loves it. Actually, my 10 and 13-year-old both my 10-year-old loves it the most. But if I listen to it in the car, even though my 5-year-old at first is no, I want to listen to Frozen, because we're laughing so much, she just eventually starts laughing with us, even though she doesn't know why we're laughing.
Huh.
Yeah.
We got a video sent to us from a subscriber this week of their little 4-year-old daughter saying, I want to listen to the Babylon Bee podcast. So I don't know if they bribed her.
That's
or
bizarre, yeah.
Maybe it's one of those things you hear the voices all the time, and it's hey, Dad.
Yeah.
I want to listen to the Babylon Bee.
Could be.
So
Here we are.
There we are. So my thing that I'm going to promote is, unsurprisingly, a board game.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So everybody locked in their houses, bored, and you're so bored that you've gotten to the point, say, you know what? Let's play a board game. Like, you've gotten that far.
I never get there. But my wife does all the time, and then I'm like...
I know, but I'm telling you, like, in a month, you've been locked in your house for 2 months. It might start to sound like a good idea. I don't know. So let me promote the board game.
Okay, yeah.
Codenames.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of this, I think.
Matt McDavid was telling you about it. Where he was? He was ranting about it when we were at when we were over at his shop. But so Codenames is a game where it's kind of hard to describe, I guess. But there's a table covered in cards that have words on them.
Okay.
And you have to get the other members of your team to guess which 2, 3, or 4 words you're thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
And you do that by saying one word. So you have to connect all these words that are on the board with one word. So you might have, and the words are assigned to you. So you might have the word like snow.
I'm already lost. See, this is me.
You might have a word like snow, mountain, board, and hair.
Gotcha.
And you need to say one word to get them to point at all of those in this mix of cards that are on there.
That seems complicated.
And it's very fun because as you're trying to get, and there's
you can say one word and they have to point at 4
and they have to point at
cards.
all, yeah.
So you'd have to say like is Sean White a snowboarder?
Yeah. So you could say like Sean White or one word
hair.
or whatever. But.
Oh, but you can't say one word. You have to say one word.
No, you could say the name of a person like Sean White.
They still might not get to hair. He has funky hair, but
yeah. See, but that's good. Sean White.
That's really hard.
But it's a stretch, and you gotta go for it. But it's kind of up to you. Do you want to try to link 2 words, 3 words, 4 words?
Oh, so 4 is like really
that would be a big stretch.
Okay.
But sometimes the other team is way ahead of you. You got to do it. So if you got 4 people in your family at least, or you're a homeschool family, you got like
Seems
12
hard with kids.
Well, our kids have done pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
We actually have the Harry Potter version too, and they like that because they'll say the name of the movie. Oh, these 3 were in the movie. And the best part is there's like one card that you cannot point at all. If your team guesses that one wrong, you lose immediately. So you might have that snowboard, blah, Sean, blah, but then it might say sports, and you cannot point at sports. So then you couldn't say Sean White, and you have to be like,
oh, there's like one that cancels.
You're like, there's a perfect clue, but I can't say it because I'll point at it. But I got to go for it anyway. Anyway, if you got a family of at least 4 people, 5, 6 people, perfect thing to bust out during this time of coronavirus.
All right.
So listen to the Story Show podcast while you play Codenames.
Yeah. If you go back into that Story Show's history, you'll actually find a couple episodes I was on. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it'd be cool to have them on because we could do do like a That Story Show crossover episode, and we could do funny church stories and stuff.
Oh, perfect. I like it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
News time.
This has been Stuff That's Good. Every week, there are stories. These are some of them.
First story coming in hot. Groundbreaking new study suggests shutting down economy could contribute to unemployment. Seems like there might be some kind of connection there.
Don't you think that it's just pure evidence that the failure of capitalism? The economy can't survive. Everybody's shutting down.
Capitalism has failed us. It's just what I want to say.
I love all these arguments. Like nothing will work if you remove all of its fuel. Like the thing that runs it, if you take it away, it's gonna die.
I don't even see it as like fuel or like it's just like you stopped
just
it.
What it is.
You just stopped it from happening.
Yeah.
And now it doesn't work.
Elephants are not able to be elephants because you removed elephantness from them. Or I don't even know.
You shot the elephant.
You got rid of elephant. There's nothing there. There's just footprints.
What a terrible elephant.
Giant circular footprints.
It's dead because you shot him.
I love when we make amazing analogies.
This is a great analogy.
Yeah.
So 10 million unemployment claims in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, there's an insane GIF. I say GIF.
I'm down with the GIF.
Down with the GIF. My wife says GIF every time.
She spells it out?
She spells it out. I keep saying, it's just GIF. You just say GIF. She says, I say GIF.
Check out this hilarious JPEG image.
Yeah, so she says GIF. But there's a GIF that you can watch on the internet, and it shows unemployment throughout the ages. You know, it's just little spikes that go up and down, up and down, up and down. And all of a sudden, when it hits 2020, it just shoots up into the air like Superman. And it just keeps going and going.
What it's amazing is they scale the other spikes. So at first, when you see this spike from like 2007, 2008, you're like, whoa, that was really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the spike comes for the one that just happened, it's like that all just completely flattens out because it's such a small difference in comparison.
It
with
looks like all the other spikes are bits of blades of grass on the ground, and then the spike for right now is a tree above all that grass. Like you could turn that graph into a drawing of a tree in the grass.
Maybe we should do that.
I'll do it. Have your kids do it.
Yeah, it's just insane. I mean, I knew those numbers were coming, but that is frightening. But, you know, the weird part about it is I feel like it's so temporary.
I hope so.
Like a pause, because it's, you know, in a month, they're like, okay, everybody get back to work.
I hope so.
I guess it's just how long is that recovery going to take, and how much damage is it going to do in the meantime? If people are losing their homes and small businesses are closing, then those jobs are not going to be back.
Yeah, like there have to be businesses that die from this.
Absolutely.
I don't know how they're going to survive.
I saw studies saying that some are already closing. I think on Discern, I think it was Discern, I saw a quarter of small businesses say they might have to close if this continues. And it's just, I mean, you can't just turn off the faucet and expect people to continue.
Yeah, and it totally works for a politician to be like, we all got to shut down to save lives, but like, it's hard for me to imagine the politician that goes, all right, let's get back out there. Because then if people start dying, then they carry that.
That's definitely a riskier.
Yeah. And politicians don't like risking their reputations. Yeah. So I'm scared. I don't know. The further into this, the more nervous I get about it. And I'm sure I'm not alone in it. But isn't it weird how like readily everybody kind of like got on board with it?
Yeah. Okay. Well, shutting down our businesses.
Yeah, guess we got no rights.
It's very strange.
It's under house arrest. Sure.
It's very strange.
Let's do it.
It's like you can agree on a medical and a scientific level that, you know what, it's probably best for people to stay home when they can, stay away from it. But at the same time, you can say from an economic level and just the absolute devastation that's going to happen. Yeah. It's just insane that people just... And then, I mean, the government just taking advantage of this. You know? Yeah. That scares me. And the weirdness that you're not allowed to have that conversation. I'm sure you've run into people like that where you can't even talk about it as if there's anything to talk about. Right. If you bring up the whole idea that, you know, are we screwing up, you know, our economy and just, you know, everything we got? It seems like we're really just doing this with like, it feels a little willy-nilly. Yeah, like it's like, you monster, you want everybody to die. Oh, yeah, as though people won't die. Yeah, from a Great Depression. Mm-hmm. So the Washington Post had a go ahead. Oh, sorry, and just not to mention the other economies that depend on our economy to thrive. Yeah, it's worldwide at this point. Yeah, so it's the saying. It was like when America gets the cold, other countries, like, I'm butchering that, probably the world gets cancer or something like that. But the idea that there's all these other economies that, yeah, they work for cheap, but they need to at least have that money. Like we stop ordering in goods and stuff, and then it really goes bad. The Washington Post had an article they tweeted out. The coronavirus recession is exposing how the economy was not as strong as it seemed. Such a bizarre thing to say. You shut down the economy, and now it's not working anymore. Like, because the coronavirus is literally a disease, right? So if you, like, just imagine, like, The Rock. Dwayne Johnson suddenly gets, like, some horrible disease. He's in a hospital bed. You know, he gets, like, he gets AIDS or something. Wasn't as strong as we thought. Well, he wasn't as strong as we thought. He got cancer. That'd be the most insulting non sequitur you could ever put on somebody. I thought my computer was really good at running Doom Eternal, but then I unplugged it and didn't run it so well then. Yeah. You can't even handle a little tiny boop. Unplug. It actually reminds me of a hilarious old Onion article that says, study, dolphins not so smart on land. And they've got these dolphins lying out on the asphalt and the scientists staring at them like taking notes. I thought they were good swimmers and stuff, but... Yeah. The Onion is a secular knockoff of the Babylon Bee, if you're not aware. I always thought the whole idea that dolphins were smarter than humans is... I feel like it says more about the person saying that than about dolphins. I don't know. Yeah, like what does that mean? I don't buy it. Like, do they measure like weird connections in their brain and say they have this many brain connections? They can learn this and that.
Because anybody who says that, they're really excited about it. They're not like, they don't doubt it. They're like, they want an animal to be smarter than humans.
Do they actually think dolphins are smarter than humans? I thought it was like they're the smartest animal, or
Yeah, or the
closest to humans or something.
I think they maybe will take it more that they're more moral or they're more loving, and people that with dogs too. We're nothing compared to dogs.
Yeah.
The only thing about dogs though is that dogs are really sweet and good, but they'll be that way for Hitler or anybody.
That's true. So they're pretty stupid. When you think about it, they'll be like serial killers, buddy. They have no moral. No moral compass.
Yeah, they're just an idiotic sidekick. That's really
I've heard
nice.
people say that's
sweet.
Yeah, and people always compliment them.
And I have 2 dogs. I love dogs.
People will say, "Dogs don't judge you, man."
Yeah.
I'm like, well, what about Hitler?
Maybe they should have judged. Yeah. Imagine if the dog could judge, like Hitler's dog was like, holy cow, this guy's horrible. I'm going to bite his neck right now. World War II ended.
World War II could have been avoided if dogs were just a little bit
smarter. German Shepherd. Didn't just walk in lockstep with Germany.
Freaking dogs, man.
German Shepherd.
Freaking dogs.
Well,
let's move on to our next story.
Let's do it. Oh, man, I have to say this one. Why do I have to say this one? I like how first you tweeted about this one. And everybody was, it was so dumb, even just tweeting about it. And then you went ahead and did it. And the tweet was about how your wife was like, rolling her eyes at it?
It was like 12:30 in the morning. We were in bed, and I go, "Hey, how about this joke?" And she
ultimate
she
dad
goes,
joke.
Her face doesn't move at all. She's like, "No, Kyle.
No,
Kyle. No."
And here we are because you have the keys to the Babylon Bee kingdom.
Not for long.
I'm forced to talk about it in order to pay my bills. Jeremy Camp opens camp for underprivileged kids named Jeremy. Oh, Jeremy Camp. Jeremy Camp opens camp for underprivileged kid named Jeremy, and it's called Jeremy Camp. Jeremy Camp.
Now that the headline has been thoroughly butchered, as if it wasn't bad enough already.
Get it? Because his name's Jeremy and he made a camp. But his name is Jeremy.
But only
Camp.
Jeremys can go.
But only Jeremys can go.
It's called Jeremy Camp.
It's called Jeremy Camp. So
this is so funny.
It's so dumb. I do think Dan's motivation for putting this horrible joke on here because it's one of our only non-coronavirus jokes.
And he wrote it in our notes. What was going on in Kyle's head?
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
It is a joke I would make, so I can't hate on it too much.
I think you've got to, because these kind of satire sites, it's like you're trying to write these articles that get shared virally, and you try to get the big banger.
Make some big point.
So you try to make a great point. Mm-hmm. And I think it's great to just throw one out there. You're like, this is very stupid, and I know it's very stupid, but I'm writing this for me.
Yeah.
I think that's healthy.
Yeah, that's always, for me, the John Bolton being a walrus, that kind of stuff is always... Yeah.
Of course, that one...
I'm not making any kind of political point, but that one killed.
But that one killed, so that's not a great example.
It had a great Photoshop.
It's like in the Stephen King book, Misery. The guy goes and he writes for his fan who's crazy, and she tries to break his legs, and she does break his legs.
She does, yeah.
Because he's to make him write the novel that she wants, and then he burns it at the end, and at the end he writes another novel, and he says, "I wrote this one for me." That's So you fans are the ones who broke my legs and forced me to write about Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I want to write a Jeremy Camp article that's really stupid for me.
So Jeremy Camp's a musician, right?
Yes, he is. He's a CCM artist.
I don't know my CCM. Anything past like late 90s or like around 2000, I dropped off on my CCM knowledge.
So Jeremy Camp came around in like the early 2000s, I believe. He had an album called Stay. And it was really good.
He wrote it for his dog.
Yeah. Hey,
stay.
Don't bite Hitler's throat.
And all the different songs are called like Sit, Shake, Roll Over. Sorry.
And anyway, my brother had the CD, and we would go to. He would bump it every morning.
Bump it. So it's he's got like lots of bass.
Sure. Well, we would load into his Isuzu Rodeo, and we would go to high school every morning. And it's just super loud playing this thing. And I think
Isuzu? Is that a car company?
Yeah.
Isuzu?
Isuzu Rodeo. Yeah. And he would drive us there, and And I would get all mad. I'm like, Ryan, turn it down.
You're Napoleon Dynamite?
Yeah.
Ryan, turn it down.
Stop, guys. It's just not funny. So anyway, so I have his first album like ingrained.
So it was like his number one song that I should know.
I still believe. I still believe in your faithfulness.
I don't know.
Oh man, he's got a lot of hits.
Sure.
He's got a lot of hits.
Everybody else that listens to our podcast is yelling at me right now. We all know who he is. Shut up, Ethan.
Empty me. Empty me. I know you got a joke
that about X-Lax?
There it was. I was trying to preempt your joke about that.
I don't know if that... Does he sing
more than enough.
Cookie Monster?
All of you. He's like one of those Eddie Vedder type sounding.
Okay.
It's more than enough.
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so Jeremy Camp. So we were just actually looking, and there's actually a lot of other stuff that CCM... CCM is contemporary Christian music, just so people know when we say that.
So some other
pop Christian
products
they've put out. Yeah. So for instance, our good friend from DC Talk, Kevin Max, has released his own line of Kevin Maxi pads. It's awesome.
McDonald's has announced
what would his slogan be?
Oh no. No. McDonald's has announced the new Toby Mac sandwich.
Oh, the Toby Mac.
It's the #1 combo.
Toby Mac and cheese. John Piper's got a whole pipe shop he's opened up with little briars and cherry woods.
Piper's Pipes.
Mm-hmm. They're called Piper's Pipes.
There are so many of these.
Gotta go fast.
Carmen will not come to your house and repair your car. It's the Carman.
Carmen the Carman. Because if you look at his name, it's spelled Carman.
Hey everybody, Carmen the Carman here.
Carmen the Carman, brothers.
And he'll rap at you as he fixes
I noticed your car was under the weather. Why don't you and I get together? I'll get out my wrench. I'll get out my dolly. I'll fix your car. You're going to say, oh, golly. Okay. Petra Rock and Gravel Company. Like how I started saying disappointed as I said it.
Newsboys, it's their own
news service.
What is that? Just like a news site, I guess.
I guess. Fake News Boys.
Who wrote that joke?
I tried writing a Fake News Boys article and never got used. It was good. It was a Trump.
The fake news boys.
Called the Fake News Boys because they have a new lead singer. Not new anymore, but Stephen Curtis Chapstick. When you've been making out at church camp too much,
slap on
some Stephen Curtis Chapstick.
Switchfoot has a line of what are they called? Prosthetics. Like prosthetic feet.
Yeah, you can detach your foot and put on a different
They're
one.
very modular. You can just switch it anytime you want.
You do spring feet.
Different kinds. Moon boots.
Drills.
Skates.
You can just like drill into the ground and end up in China.
Ones with wheels.
You don't want to do that right now.
Yeah. Gun feet.
Gun feet. Pie launchers. Everything. Little lights. Like LA lights. Remember those?
I do.
I don't want to do ones I don't even know what the band is. Casting Crowns, dental repair.
It's the cast.
We just wrote down every joke everybody came up with.
Skillet's official line of cookware.
Cutlass cutlery of safety knives.
Or
a haircut salon.
We couldn't decide on the joke. We just put two in here. Cutlass cutlery. That doesn't cut. Or Cutlass hair salon that doesn't cut you. I don't know. I think how we're working these jokes out on the show.
DC Talk. They've got their new Washington DC Talk radio show now in the morning. It probably is a radio show of that.
You're listening to DC Talk in the morning with Kevin
and Stacy.
I was trying to name the DC Talk people.
Oh, that's the morning shows. I have two people.
Kevin and Toby.
Yeah, I got nothing else to add to that. Matt Redman. Something. We'll skip that one.
We didn't write a joke?
I think I had proposed Matt Redman chewing tobacco.
I like that. We'll go with that.
Okay.
Lauren Daigle's Bagels.
Need to Breathe is releasing a line of inhalers.
So we're doing this basically to just show you that
people with asthma.
We're basically doing this to show you that Jeremy Camp was the best.
Was it?
It was the cream of the crop. Did you do the inhalers? You did the
Yeah, I did the inhalers.
third day delivery service.
Third day shipping.
Shipping and logistics. Guaranteed. Third day.
I'm skipping that one. Audio Adrenaline's releasing their own line of EpiPens. So when your friend's like in shock from like a drug overdose or something or whatever they got as an allergy attack, you just get an Audio Adrenaline, shove it in their chest.
When they absolutely need to stay alive, make it an Audio Adrenaline.
Audio Adrenaline, epinephrine shot.
Amy Grants and loans.
Big Daddy Weaves. That's just a guy, right?
No, there's a band called Big Daddy Weave.
Okay, but so they sell weaves or something? Is that the joke? There's no
Big Daddy. Yeah, it just says Big Daddy Weave.
no,
Big Daddy Weaves.
we were on a time crunch this week.
Demon Hunter pest removal, Ethan.
Yeah,
Because they hunt.
Look at those things. It's like demons.
And they go.
You ever seen those silverfish? They look like demons.
And they go, hey, looks like you got a silver fish. We'll take care of it.
And then they start singing like Stained. Your house is clear. It's time to smog the house, so you have to leave for about a week.
Give it 72 hours.
And they put a big circus tent on your house.
I'm not going to read that one.
Yeah, me either.
Everyday Sunday chicken restaurant.
Get it? Because they would never be open. Oh, I hate all these.
You guys are the worst.
What about POD? They're doing a little print-on-demand services.
PODs?
Yeah.
POD
like
service?
Rapcore, pamphlets, self-published books, banners, and canvas prints. Come to POD. No.
And they'll deliver it on the third day. Printable on demand on the third day.
Yeah. We can start mixing them all together. With Big Daddy Weaves, which has nothing, is not a joke.
Rin Collectives. Rin Collection Agency.
Is that I don't know what that band is.
They are the like Mumford and Sons of the Christian.
Oh, Mumford and Sons are atheists?
I thought the guy was supposed to be a Christian, or he was like related to the Vineyard movement or something.
Yeah, because when they came out, all my Christian friends were like, Mumford and Sons, man. Like I'd be like, I like bluegrass. Like, oh yeah, Mumford and Sons, bro. And then I listened to Mumford and Sons. I was like, well, that's not really. They have a banjo going, but
yeah, it was kind of like. Oh, they must be Christian because they're kind of.
They have sons.
And their lyrics sounded kind of like vaguely spiritual or something.
Like Creed?
Yeah.
With a banjo?
Creed with a banjo. That's exactly what they were.
We should definitely move on from this one.
All right, let's do our next story. Tragic. Bill Gates had a cure for coronavirus, but it got erased by a Windows virus. Whole hard drive wiped out. Blue screen of death. Sad.
Been there.
Not good.
It's pretty much how when I get a new computer, it's just that something happens, blue screen of death, the Windows just all falls apart. I'm like, oh, I'll buy a new one.
You just buy a new one when you get a blue screen of death?
Not initially, but if I keep getting it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a friend who in IT, so I call him constantly. We used to be in the band that I was in, and so he's constantly doing free IT work for me.
Oh, nice. I'm sure he appreciates that.
Yeah.
Do you also, your friends who have pickup trucks, do you call them all the time and get them to move stuff?
None of my friends have pickup trucks anymore.
No, my friends got no pickup truck no more.
Like nobody has them in the LA area. Down here in
Really?
SoCal.
I have some friends with pickup trucks.
No.
But
You're more blue collar. Well, no, were you blue collar? Because you're in the construction industry.
Yeah, but I was in the sales.
You're a white collar.
But
you probably worked with blue collar guys,
yeah,
right?
Sure.
So,
well, I started out in the truck driving. I drove the truck and I ran the warehouse, so I was blue collar. Yeah. And then I got called up to the big leagues.
Oh yeah, corporate.
Yeah. I wear a polo shirt every day. And all
so
that.
you went from being like Daryl.
It was like Daryl going up to
become a Jim or something.
That's a very apt. Quite apt, sir.
Quite apt. So
Bill Gates is kind of in the news because I guess he's been commenting on the coronavirus and stuff. I don't know. It always
seems
seems
weird
like
if you're like rich enough that if you just say something, it's news.
Like, hey, I got something to say.
Yeah.
And you get all these interviews. Just,
Like, where did he say this? Was he like a deli or something?
I don't know. I saw all these interviews of him. Like,
He's just getting interviewed. Like,
he's getting interviewed about it. So,
like, hey, you're known for having computers that get tons of viruses. So, like, how would you react to this virus that's taken over the world?
you're the expert.
Yeah.
So what do you got, Bill? And also, you know, he's like a humanitarian type because he goes off and tries to solve problems, which is cool. I think that's neat. But you know, but again, it's kind of weird. You got these rich guys who don't have to worry about anything. Going, you all need to stay home.
Yeah.
And not go to work.
Yeah. I mean,
and you're very selfish if you go to work.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well,
they live in this massive.
It's kind of easy for you to say, Bill, in your 230 acre place in Washington. But I guess he had made a prediction about like years ago. He said disease is what's going to kill a bunch of people coming up.
So he said
if a pandemic hits, it's going to be bad. You know, and that was kind of.
I guess it was always in the cards. I think the weird thing about this one is you're not seeing it yet. As right now, it still feels like one of the flus and things we've seen in the past. So everybody's waiting to see what's going to happen. Yeah. We're scared.
But you know,
I got nothing to say about Bill Gates.
Well, he gave us. Ethan, every time you'd say, "I have nothing to say," I'm going to throw something at you.
Do it. Throw it at me.
I don't really have anything. This is coffee in it.
I didn't think you were going to throw a topic at me.
Oh no, I was going to throw it like a
physical object.
Object at you. You know, I always tell my kids I'm going to throw them out the window.
Oh yeah,
because from Napoleon Dynamite,
I'm going to rip your ear off.
Really? That's your thing? I think in Napoleon Dynamite, the uncle says, "I'd be throwing you out the window. I tell you what," or something like that. And so I just kind of adopted it, and now I'm going to throw you out the window. And I always get worried that some social worker at some point will talk to them.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, and they're like, "So, did your parents ever threaten you?" Or, well, he's always telling us he's going to throw us out the window.
My brother, I don't even know how he just started telling this girl, just jokingly, that my mom would make him sleep in the doghouse. So the little girl told her teacher, and this is when he was like really young, like a little kid. And so a child services person showed up at my mom's door one day. Like, we hear that you are making your child sleep in the doghouse. I guess she laughed genuinely enough when they said that they realized it was not real.
We had a family friend who would take her vitamins in the morning. You know, the big handful of all these vitamins, and she would tell her kids, "Got to take my drugs," and she would, and then the they were at school or whatever, and they're talking about don't do drugs, and have your parents ever encouraged you to take drugs, do drugs, and the little girl's like, "My mom takes a bunch of drugs every morning," and she starts telling them, "Oh yeah, she takes like 20 pills, different drugs." So Bill Gates. I don't know. I'm a Windows guy. I use Windows. I like to build my own computers typically. And
I got converted to that too.
It's just...
And I'm not a nerd, but...
A lot easier.
My IT friend is like, build your own computer. I'm like, I can't do that.
And people always...
explained it to me. It's like really easy.
People always talking about like, Apple's better with this and that. But then I'll actually go look like, oh, maybe that's interesting. And I'll go look at the prices. And I'm like, it will cost me 3 times as much to get an Apple. And I go, is it 3 times as good? I don't know.
I had a unique experience when I worked at this telescope company as the graphics guy, and I can't remember why they told me, what do you need? And so I ended up getting a corner desk that had a nice Apple computer and a nice Windows computer, because I think I had different files that I sometimes needed to open. Anyway, so I had that experience of being able to use both and like try out all the programs I use on both, and I really just came down to liking the Windows one more.
Sure. Yeah.
I do think that you get people that get into the Apple cult get into it really deep.
Yeah. It's definitely a cult.
But it's the customizable, I don't know, it doesn't feel as like you're forced into a certain way. With Apple, you feel like you're like forced into their little world.
Yeah. It's their ecosystem, their way of doing things.
It was really the compatibility issues that drove me crazy, because so many things I got didn't work compatible. And maybe that's a while back.
Yeah. And they do it on purpose because they want to lock you into the Apple thing. Drives me bananas.
Yeah. Evil
Apple. All right. Well, we've thoroughly explained everything that's wrong with Bill Gates and his predictions, I guess.
Have we?
No, not really. But I am done
Nobody
talking
cares,
about
though.
this. I don't
Yeah.
care anymore. So
Nobody
let's,
cares about Bill Gates.
let's talk about something that's much more uplifting.
Okay.
Let's talk about the resurrection.
Let's do it.
And now, the Babylon Bees topic of the week.
Well, everybody, this is a very strange year because everybody's about to have Easter alone, separately, in their own homes.
Yeah.
That feels very weird. Whether you go to church or not, you might celebrate Easter and you might have a big dinner. And it's weird to not go to church on Easter and to not go get together with family with a nice ham.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I have a ham.
We're going to do the ham too, but alone, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. What are you going to do Easter morning? Are you just going to watch your church's service on your...
I guess.
Huh.
What else are we supposed to do?
I haven't been crazy about what our church is doing, so I attempted to do a little, right during dinner, I read a few verses and just talked about Palm Sunday. But it was like, it went over like when I worked on VeggieTales, you could feel the oxygen go out of the room, like the life of the show, just like the momentum just die the moment the characters pulled out a Bible verse and started talking about it. Which sounds super, but only to say that it's not natural. It's suddenly like, hey, by the way, in the Bible it says this, and then start talking about it.
It's that very wooden way.
It's very wooden.
Yeah.
I tried my hardest. I tied it into some Chesterton, read him a little bit of my favorite Chesterton essay, and it was clearly like they were just waiting for me to shut up so they could like get, whatever. I did my best. I wouldn't say my best. I did something.
They'll remember that.
But yeah, I think for me, the home church thing is really hard for me because I never liked that when I was a kid. My dad would try doing that all the time, read the Bible to us or try to tell us, make us sit in Dad will tell you, we'll do a little preaching or something. And I remember hating it. So maybe that's like a personal issue.
I have good memories of that.
See, I need that. I need those good memories.
My dad would read to us, and he had like 3 different Bible stories that he loved. And he would always just cycle through those. It was like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Did he tell them in his own way, or did he just read
He would read it, but he would do like the funny voices and the pronunciations, and maybe put our names in there sometimes. There were 3 people, Kyle, Ryan, and Karis. Change it from Shadrach and Meshach. We're like, hey, that's my name. So I don't know. I have good memories of that.
That's good.
But I don't know. Maybe at the time I was, I'm bored,
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that sticks with you also. So. Anyway, we wanted to talk a little bit about the resurrection and what it means. It's interesting as Christians. It is bizarre when you think about it, that we are gathered like here. We are working on this Christian satire site. We're friends and we're do what we do. And if you're a Christian, you have Christian friends and family, you go to church because you believe that this guy died.
Yeah.
And walked out of that grave 3 days later, and then bodily, and then ascended into heaven. And it's just such a strange thing to me that in the modern age to be like, I believe this guy came back to life.
Yeah.
And that has changed my entire life. And it's bizarre.
I know. And when we're talking about this, I feel wholly unqualified to talk about it.
Yeah, well.
But I think even just as a human, we are unqualified to even try to comprehend it. But so that's one reason I struggled with even talking about it. Like I'm always amazed with theologians that feel like they can really grasp it, because I have a tough time really grasping onto it all.
I guess I feel like modern Christianity has de-emphasized the resurrection. Maybe we always want to be cool, It's like, hey, we're Christians, we're hip, we're in the modern conversations, we're impacting culture, we're having discussions with neighbors, and
a conversation.
We have conversation, and we want to make our faith seem down to earth and reasonable. We have all the arguments, and it's like ultimately we believe a guy came back to life historically, and there's some wonder in there, I guess, for me, that is what changes our lives. That this guy came back to life. It was the God Man.
Yeah, and I guess it shows that God is both fully like and that's the Chesterton always talks about paradoxes, but that he's both he's both fully of this world and fully of outside of it, that he can
Christ.
pass in and out. It is, and to think about what would that look like. Well, I'm assuming that if we had never seen Christianity, if we just to try to figure out what would that look like if a human being, what if God became a human being, you know?
Yeah.
And that's one of the wildest things to me about the whole story. And I think one thing that has always kept me in Christianity is the story just doesn't go the way that humans write stories. You know, like the king that was expected when on Palm Sunday, when Christ was riding on the donkey, everybody was celebrating because they were thinking it's going to be like the next King David again, you know, like powerful ruler. And the whole idea of just the humility of Christ dying on the cross, all that stuff, it doesn't make sense to it. It's just not a human way of thinking. And humility is not like, there's a lot of things that are now virtues because of Christ. Humility,
right?
Forgiveness. And I think that's the most powerful thing to me about the Christian faith, is that both forgiveness and sin are equally powerful and serious. In almost every philosophy that you look at, they emphasize one and de-emphasize the other. Almost every religion, it's either you're punished and your punishment is really the focus, or forgiveness and waive the punishment. You know, it's all about just, you know, being nice and being hippie-ish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And we have a sense of justice and balance.
Yeah, they balance both. Like, sin is ultimately so horrible that God had to come. But forgiveness is also equally has that power. It's not, we don't de-emphasize either. We don't ignore sin to have forgiveness. Anyway, I'm getting off track, but
off track is the best place to be in this podcast.
It's good. At least I'm talking. I was afraid I wasn't going to talk at all.
Well, you know, our Christian audience has heard all the sermons about the resurrection, all the stories about all the Easter stories.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of want to bask a little bit in the wonder and the paradox of what happened. And I do think that modern Christianity de-emphasizes the resurrection, and specifically what it accomplishes, in the sense that we will be bodily resurrected one day. And we will live in a new earth. We will live on a new earth in new bodies. And I wonder if a lot of theological errors have come about because we kind of think of Christ's resurrection as this, well, he died, but then he came back, and that's, you know, and then he went back to heaven. We were talking earlier about the song, Lord, I Lift Your Name on High, where it says that he went from the cross to the grave, and from the grave to the sky. It's like totally misses the entire point of the gospel is that he came back bodily. Like,
I always think they just didn't have enough space.
Well, sure.
They have to do a whole nother.
From the grave to the earth to the sky.
Okay, so heaven and earth, show the way. Yeah. Anyway.
Then
you came out and you met Thomas and he touched your thing, and then you got talked a bunch, and then there's a bunch of
I am sure whoever wrote it has a very solid theology of the resurrection. That's not my point.
It's art.
From
artistic license.
That's also heresy.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Dang.
But then, but I wonder how much of like this idea that we can't enjoy earthly pleasures, or like, you know, that this legalism of, you know, the body is bad, which was also a heresy they struggle with in New Testament times. You know, the flesh is evil, and we must deny that. It comes from this idea that we don't understand the resurrection. We don't understand what happened there, and that God had an earthly body and still does. God the Son still has an earthly body, and like that's a glorified body. But that's like so insane to my mind. You know, that God has given us the body as a gift, and he has given us all the experiences and the senses that we can enjoy, you know. So I don't know. I think there are a lot of theological errors that come about because of it. When I was in college, when I was in Bible college, I had an evangelism class, and there were like 6 people in there. And on the first day of the class, maybe second day of the class, they had everybody prepare a gospel presentation. And we're all like freshmen. We're all new coming into this. But everybody had kind of grown up as a Christian. And so everybody gives their basic gospel presentation. You know, well, you're a sinner and you need Jesus and he died for you. And all 6 of the presentations left out the resurrection, which is just bizarre, right?
Yeah.
Biblically solid college, kids that grew up reading the Bible and knowing all about it, and you leave out the resurrection because it's not something that's real to us. I guess as a kid, I always felt like it was an afterthought.
Yeah.
Like if when you're presented the gospel, it's Jesus died for you, Jesus died for you, Jesus died for you. Well, Jesus also rose for you, but we never think about that. We never think about that is what jump-started the Christian faith.
I wonder if that's a lot of that's tied into the Christianity as a religion, or there's a relationship, not a religion, bro. Because we think about we're thinking about what Jesus did for me. It makes me like talking about, oh, thank you, you died for me. That's so romantic. It has that has that because a lot of the, especially songs from like the 80s and 90s in worship, a lot of them were almost indiscernible from love songs, human love songs. And I wonder if a lot of that emphasis comes from that period or not.
Yeah, I remember the cross was the big thing. Jesus died for you.
Yeah.
That's the phrase, right? That's the gospel.
Yeah.
Back then.
And I always had trouble with, C.S. Lewis talks about it a bit in Mere Christianity, but the people that would get really emotional about that. And I was always like, which I don't know if this makes me sound super negative, but like God, and he talks about that, the God is the only who actually could do that. And like I guess it's just that I can't really wrap my head around it. But like he makes the analogy that he has to be in a place of above us to be able to do that. To save a drowning man, you have to be up on the shore.
Yeah, to step about the teacher and the student or something. I think he talks about
I mean, I know I'm not doing this very well, but this part, but yeah. So I guess I just emotionally getting ahead of like, if you're God of the universe, which I already can't comprehend. It's hard for me to put my head in that head to think like, what is that like and it's either beyond my comprehension horrible or beyond my comprehension like superpower, or like, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Like, I guess I feel like people almost too easily sympathize with Jesus on the cross, where I feel like in my head, I'm like, I don't know how I could even know what that is like to be that, to be there. Because it's a different existence. And if I was on a cross, it'd be completely different than what Jesus was doing and going through. I know that part of it was what I would be going through because he was being a man, but he's also fully God. So like, if you knew that you were going to resurrect, would you be like a lot more on board with going on a cross? I don't know.
Well, I think we've done the cross a disservice by having an anemic understanding of what Jesus' life was like and his humanity. Especially, we definitely de-emphasize his humanity, and we see, because that's what's drilled into our heads: is Jesus is God, Jesus is God, Jesus is God. Well, he's also 100% man.
Yeah.
And so I think his daily life would have been very much like our daily lives. His suffering would be very much like our suffering. The difference is he surrendered himself to God every step of the way. And I mean, at the cross, you talk about the cross. Like, I have no frame of reference for that.
Yeah.
Not even just physical suffering, but the spiritual suffering that God's wrath was being poured out on him. Like, I never want to know what that's like.
Yeah.
Never would be able to know what that's like, apart from hell.
So for somebody who's listening to this who is not a Christian or is a big doubter, or maybe they've always struggled with this, what are some of the reasons we believe this? Because it is one of the crazier things to believe in the Christian faith, the resurrection, and then the idea that we're going to resurrect.
Yeah, and it's central. Paul in 1 Corinthians 15 says, if Christ has not been raised, then our preaching is in vain and your faith is in vain. And he says we are to be pitied most of all men because if Jesus was not raised. And so why do we believe that?
Basically, if Jesus wasn't raised, then he was just a teacher teaching stuff, but everything he taught it wasn't like platitudes and morals.
Right. And that's the big. Jesus was a good teacher. He was
like you can't just take Jesus and go like you turn him into Confucius or something.
You talk about like Pascal's wager, where he says that, well, even if there isn't a God, you should it's like game theory. No, you just, it's the better bet that there's a God. So just do that.
Just go along with it.
That's very much the opposite of what Paul says. Is actually, you're wasting your entire life if Christ has not been raised, if the resurrection is not true. I don't know. I guess I went through a period in high school, we've talked about before, like the apologetics episodes, where I had to find all these answers for the resurrection. I found a lot of resources helpful. I liked The Case for Christ a lot. I think that was helpful. More Than a Carpenter's role, thin version of Josh McDowell's Evidence That Demands a Verdict. That was one of the early ones back in the
Yeah, I remember that
60s
book.
or 70s, I
It's a
think.
big, thick book.
Yeah.
I know that N.T. Wright wrote a massive book on the resurrection and
Yeah.
tons of stuff about the evidence and stuff.
I thought that was more than theological.
Yeah, it was more theological too, but I remember because I didn't get through the whole book.
Well,
Earlier in the book, the first part of it was like a lot of it was about how do we know or how do we, at least in my memory, it's been a long time since I read it, but
and
how do we even know it happened kind of stuff.
and if you guys don't like N.T. Wright, just call him N.T. wrong.
Oh, is he bad?
Some people don't like
I don't know. I guess every writer or theologian has their...
I feel like he overstates his case sometimes.
He sounds really smart when he talks, which I doubt people like that.
Yeah, because he always argues against like modern evangelicalism believes this, but actually we've forgotten this element of justification, and then people go, but then he argues it too far, and you go, he takes his case way over here, and you're like, I'm like, I appreciate the perspective you're bringing, but I think that doesn't mean we need to throw out this part. So anyway, that's
Interesting.
That's a side
note.
Side note. So I don't know. I guess in that journey for me, there's all these arguments. The empty tomb. I mean, obviously, Christianity is a completely falsifiable religion, right? Because if you can produce the body, there's no, especially back then when it would have been readily available to find.
Yeah.
You produce the body, and there's no Christian.
Yeah, and how powerful it would be to have that. It seems like they would, if they did have the body, seems like they would have done something with it. Like there'd be some evidence that the body was around it, and maybe not the actual body, but
yeah. Or you think the whole movement would have been stamped out right then, right?
Which is what happens when most religions and cults and stuff happen. You kill their leader, it's just over.
Sure.
Or somebody new comes in as the new head of it, like a new cult leader.
Right.
There's prophecy, which I don't know all of them, but I know that before nailing people to crosses was even a thing, there was a prediction that I believe he would be pierced through his hands and feet.
Yep.
And then the fact that I believe culturally, if they were making this up, they would never have made women be the first people for Christ.
That's an interesting point. That they pick women.
That women were the first people.
It's like
Christ
if you're gonna make up. What would be the equivalent in our culture?
Because my understanding is like that they're like as eyewitnesses or whatever, they weren't even trusted. Like it wasn't culturally. It was like you wouldn't want to bet on women telling
I'm trying to think in our culture if we were trying to make up a story, it'd be like picking like convicts or something and being like, hey, these guys said it's
mime circus clowns.
Alex Jones.
Yeah, what is the
Alex Jones saw the guy get resurrected.
Yeah,
Alex Jones. Then you go. It's like if you're gonna make up the story, you're gonna pick up something.
What happened, or but if you're gonna make it up, you're gonna find there's gonna be happen to be a bunch of like scientists standing out there who can confirm or something.
Yeah, and this goes more broadly into the writing of the Gospels and the veracity in the New Testament and stuff, but just that everybody is so flawed in both the Old Testament and the New Testament that you look at this and you go, if you're going to make up this romanticized version of what happened, you're not going to write that Peter, especially when Peter's like relaying the story maybe that Mark wrote down, you're not going to include the part about how you denied Jesus, about how this little girl came up and you go, oh, I don't know Jesus.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to retell the story or I'm going to make up, I'm going to be like, let's leave that part out. So there is the kind of this feeling of truth about it because of that.
Yeah, and another big one is that all of Christ's disciples, besides, I guess Judas died a horrible death too, but different, but that they all were martyred. And usually if something's a lie or something you made up, you're not gonna let yourself be killed over it. Yeah,
I've always had struggled with that argument a little bit, just because people die for lies a lot.
It's true.
And then you'd also have to say like Joseph Smith of Mormonism, and I mean he also got shot.
But it wasn't like a deny it wasn't a like deny Mormonism or we'll live. They were in like a shootout over some other.
Yeah, I think it was like a jailbreak, and there was
some kind of
shootout at the OK Corral type stuff. It's different. I acknowledge, but I'm just saying that there are limitations to the argument.
Yeah, totally.
Sometimes people will.
It's not that it's like the one argument that's going to turn you. It's just that it's another piece of the pie. Yeah, but it's evidence against the idea that it's made up.
Yeah, and I guess you also look at the solidarity. Like all of them are sticking to this lie for decades.
Right. And then that makes it unique. Because you might have one guy die for a thing, but like to have all 12 of them, or 11, you know, that's definitely unique anyway. It doesn't prove it, but
yeah, sure.
I always hold that God made things unprovable. Like he wants us to choose to believe.
Yeah,
and that's what I find fascinating. All these things, they're always right up to that line of like, you know, you can take it or leave it, but you can't, it's not a hammer to beat you over the head and force you to believe. If God was like, a lot of people, that's one thing I tried to go into with my kids. Like, we have our expectation of what God's going to do, what he's going to be like. You know, and people saw Christ coming on the donkey and their idea of what a king should be and what a good ruler and so we have our idea of what, you know, if you don't believe in God, you think, well, if there was a God, he'd be like this. And it's often, you know, somebody that you would be able to perceive with your senses, or just something where if God existed in such a way that like we couldn't deny that he was right there, you could see him and feel him and touch him and stuff, we wouldn't really have a choice in believing. And if that's where we're supposed to be at, or we have to make those choices, then I don't know. I just find it fascinating that the world seems set up that way.
Yeah,
it's not an easy. We're not forced, and it's not a easy answer, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obvious and evident, but I think at the same point there is that final step of, okay, I've seen all this. Now what?
Yeah,
am I going to do with it? Like
I always go back to the garden, and the tree's right there, but like he starts man off with a choice. You know, though I don't know. Am I messing up with your Calvinism?
No, yeah, you're in line with Calvinism.
Am I destroying it?
Yeah. No, you're good. We believe in choice.
Weird.
Just that our choice is tainted by sin. I mean, ultimately, I believe in the resurrection because the Word of God and the Holy Spirit changed my heart to believe in the resurrection. Like, ultimately, apart from that, I wouldn't believe. I mean,
yeah.
And I think there's that element of mystery that we have to preserve and say, yeah, there's all this evidence. And if you want to spend the time to go out and look, there's a lot of great resources. But at the same time, I believe because God opened my eyes to see that, you know. That's just an act of grace and mercy on his part. And I believe because my life changed. I mean,
yeah. Ultimately, for me, that's what it comes down to when it comes to my faith. I mean, there's all these arguments that I can present, but I didn't come to my faith through all those arguments. I came to it through an experience that,
right, and you did that.
Every time I've tried to run from it, I can't get away. It's like there's a presence in my life that I can't escape now.
Yeah.
And even when I've tried to get over logical about it or whatever, I mean, to me, this world presents a lot of things as science and as logic that when you really get to the bottom of it, it's crazy too, you know. In the beginning, there's nothing and it exploded. Whatever the story is that we're fed is pretty crazy when you like really think about the idea that rocks are floating in space. And at some point along the line, they started to think like, it doesn't make any sense. You know? It's just bizarre to think that happened. You know? That's as weird and as wild as the idea of resurrecting. It's actually weirder because no life had ever existed. My only point is to say that I guess all our choices include weird backstories.
Yeah, we all got to pick something. You got to pick some weird backstory. You got to run
crazy
with it at some point.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think the resurrection gives us hope, and that's the ultimate effect that it has on us. I mean, it changes our lives. It gives us the hope that one day we will have resurrected bodies as Christ has a glorified and resurrected body. And I use the analogy that my kids, when they're scared, there's a dark closet and there's scary stuff in there. Mm-hmm. And really the only way you can convince them that it's not scary and it's not death in there is to go in there, and you go in there and you shine the light around you. Like, see, I'm in here. It's fine. And I think that's, in a lot of ways, that's what the resurrection does for us. I mean, think about it. All the human beings, and millions and billions of human beings that have to be scared by death, since mankind was created. It's like, that's been the one question. That's been the one thing we've never been able to come back from. And then Christ comes and he goes in and he comes back and he's like, boom, mic drop.
Yeah.
That's the New Living Translation, but he comes back
mic
and
drop.
He's victorious over it. And it's like, hey, follow me. Wow, it's giving me goosebumps, but yeah. So I guess, just marvel in the beautiful, mysterious, wonderful paradox of the resurrection, even though you're by yourself in your house this year.
Yeah. Eat some ham. And
do some Easter Bunny, unless that's
because if
pagan in your house. I don't know.
Without Christ, we wouldn't be able to eat ham, right?
That's true.
So,
because of that great passage where they show Peter the bacon.
It's the best.
Hey, this is okay to eat, Peter.
Yeah.
Eat the bacon.
Eat the bacon. It's
Eat
good.
the bacon, Peter.
I imagine like an angel that looks like Nick Offerman. Or whatever his name is on that show.
Ron Swanson.
Ron Swanson wings. Hey, have bacon. It's good.
Eat all the eggs and bacon that you have. All right, let's do. You know what we're not gonna do hate mail because
we're too happy right now.
We're jazzed on the resurrection, so we're gonna do love mail.
Love mail, baby.
Man, that's a rich, deep voice.
That's like mashed potatoes in my eardrums.
It rumbled my guts.
All right, this is from one of our.
Oh man, this is gonna be hard.
Listeners named Sarah or Sarai.
Okay, Saraya.
And she's written this.
With E, I think Saraya is like a middle name. Or something.
Saraya. Oh, Saraya. Yeah, that makes sense. Like Isaiah.
Saraya.
Saraya. So Saraya, sorry for screwing up your name here, but actually maybe her first name is there in the email
it's E, right? Yeah.
But now I don't want to say it because now it's anyway. All right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We don't
so
do that,
thanks for writing us, and she gave us this thing that's full of emojis.
Yeah, it's very emoji loaded.
And as a guy who doesn't use a ton of emojis, I
use more than people I ever knew. Like when I met you and Adam, you guys use way more emojis than any of my other friends.
I started to get into them recently.
I got on board with you guys.
I gave in a little recently.
I gave in, yeah.
But so here we go. Waving emoji, guys. Was it hi guys? Hi guys. First of all, flower emoji, bed emoji, ing. Flower bed.
Flower bedding.
Flower bedding, love emoji, the Babylon. Looks like an airplane. Oh, it's a bee.
Is that a bee?
The Babylon bee.
Yeah.
You guys are the number one.
Finger pointing up.
When it comes to not...
Number 2. What's that?
Speaking,
like saying bad words. There's a guy talking with lines coming out of his mouth, and there's a person swearing.
Bleeped out. When it comes to not saying bad words, which is really great, GR8.
Number 8.
Because who needs to
BC.
Ear cuss?
Oh, hear bad words.
Hear bad words when we can hear
dolphins and flower beds. Oh, because dolphin is one of our swear words.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Dolphins.
And flower beds. So much more edifying. But I only gave you 4 stars because it's very triggering. Why is there no gun emoji?
They took it off. There used to be one, remember?
It's like Super Soaker now.
But I don't even know if that's there now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like I tried to find a gun the other day.
That's so
nothing.
Crazy to me. Like it's just a tool.
It's got to be a way to hack it into like. Can we get emojis that are hacked from another company that we can have our own emojis? I want like swords and everything.
Don't cars kill more people than guns? Like,
yeah.
Why is there a car emoji?
Yeah.
Why is there no gun emoji that you keep? Glasses, book, Apple.
What?
Keep reading.
Oh, you keep reading
Apple reviews?
I guess the glasses are like looking
at the book, like reading Apple reviews when the poor sad guy
face
who has Google Play podcast can't leave you a single speech bubble.
Speech dialogue balloon.
Comment. Review?
Yeah, review. I know it's not you're reading still. Sorry.
I guess this isn't really love mail, is it?
Yeah. It's not really that love mail. I know it's not your fault, but can you at least recognize us poor minorities? Sad face again.
Thanks. You're great.
THX.
THXURGR8. Lovey face. Get with it.
Well, aren't we on Google Play Podcasts? I think we're on there. I did all the work you does on everything in the beginning.
Maybe they don't have...
but maybe because we don't read from those ones?
That you keep reading Apple reviews when the poor savvy who has Google Play can't leave you. Maybe you can't leave reviews. Maybe you can't leave reviews on Google Podcasts.
But you can leave reviews on Apple even if you don't listen to us on Apple. Just go to iTunes and just leave a review.
That's true.
I always had a tough time figuring out Google Play Podcasts.
I have the app, I think. Oh, maybe I don't.
'Cause, like I would try to find us on there, and I know that I submitted and everything.
It's kind of a weird side thing. Like,
yeah, maybe if you do it through your Google phone or whatever. What is that, Android?
Yeah, you've actually got to go like download. You've actually got to go download the podcast app. So sorry, Saraya. And
iTunes is just the kind of the standard, so it helps us when a lot of people, even if they don't listen to a podcast, if they're checking it out, that's just a number that, especially if we want to get an interview or people, flaunt some numbers. It helps to have that large amount of reviews.
And this is either the most loving hate mail that we've ever had, or the most hateful love mail we've ever had, and I don't know which.
There's love in there.
All right, well, we're going to move on to our subscriber portion. So everybody else, thanks for listening, and eat some good ham.
Indeed.
The rest of this podcast is in our super exclusive premium subscriber lounge. If you're not a Babylon Bee subscriber, go to babylonbee.com/plans for full-length ad-free podcasts, access to our headline forum, 20% off the items in the Babylon Bee store, a gift, and more. Please drop us a review on iTunes and share the podcast with a friend. Feedback and love mail go to podcast@babylonbee.com. Follow Ethan at AxeCop and Kyle at _Kyle_man on Twitter. Kyle and Ethan would like to thank Seth Dillon for paying the bills, Adam Ford for creating their job, the other writers for tirelessly pitching headlines, the subscribers, and you, the listener. Until next time, this is Dave D'Andrea, the voice of the Babylon Bee, reminding you that if Trump is for it, you should be against it.
We'll take care of it.
And then they start singing like Stained. Your house is clear. It's time to smog the house, so you have to leave for about a week.
Give it 72 hours.